This is the new MacBook. This is the new MacBook Air, specifically. And one of the big focuses that Apple had during their event was the battery life on this guy. This is the star of the show. This is the new chip inside that allows for such great battery life. But why does it feel so unreal? Why is the battery life on this thing so good? Well, let's talk about it. If you're new here, I make videos about tech. I have a long video coming about this laptop, so subscribe if you want to see more. But today I want to just talk about that battery life, because like Apple said during their event, this thing is wild. It's supposed to get 18 hours of battery life doing normal things like web browsing, watching video, stuff like that.
How that number will obviously vary depending on what you're doing. If you're pushing this thing, playing games, editing videos, stuff like that, it's obviously going to drain much quicker. But when you are doing those normal day-to-day tasks, Apple says it'll last 18 hours.
I've used Macs with similar chips inside before. I've used the 14-inch MacBook Pro, the 16-inch MacBook Pro. Both of those laptops have the M1 Pro or M1 Max chips inside, and I've done battery tests on both of them, and I got very good results, but nothing like this. So why is the battery life on this thing so good? Well, there's a couple reasons. One, this is a thinner laptop. It's supposed to be more of a portable laptop, something that you can take with you on the go, right? You don't want a super thick laptop in your bag taking up tons of space, and that usually means less room for a bigger battery. But Apple actually did the opposite here. They made the body of this laptop thinner, which usually means less room for a battery, but they actually put in a bigger battery. This is a 52.6 watt-hour battery, which is actually bigger than the previous generation. The old MacBook Air had a 49.9 watt-hour battery, so even though this laptop is thinner, they managed to squeeze in a bigger battery, which means more room for power. But the real reason that the battery life is so good, and Apple mentioned this at their event, is because of software and hardware optimizations. This is Apple's first laptop that's been built from the ground up with a new architecture in mind. Usually, Apple has to take an existing design, put a new chip inside, and then optimize the software to work with the new chip. But this time, because this is the first laptop that has the M2 chip inside, Apple was able to build the software and the hardware together, so everything is optimized right from the start. So not only do you have a more efficient chip that uses less power, but you also have software that's been written from the ground up to use less power. And that's the real reason that the battery life is so good, and I experienced it myself. When I was using this laptop, it just felt snappy. Like I opened up a web page and it felt instant, like I didn't have to wait for anything to load. It all felt very quick and snappy. I think that's because, again, Apple has the software and hardware working together in the best way possible. Everything is super optimized. There's also a lot of little things that add up when it comes to power usage. For example, this display. This is a 13.6-inch display, which is larger than the previous generation. But it's also more efficient because it's a newer technology. It's brighter. It also gets dimmer. The keyboard, the hinge, all of these things have been optimized to use less power. So yeah, the battery life on this thing is really impressive. I think that's the biggest takeaway from this whole event. It's a very impressive feat to make a thinner laptop with a bigger battery and better performance. But we'll have to see how it does in my full battery test. Again, I have a long video coming on this laptop, so subscribe if you want to see more. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a great day.